We're talking about hustle culture.
Yes. We were having a conversation about why does it feel so bad to rest?
Our time in network marketing
Mm-hmm.
and feeling like each hour of the day
You need to be grinding.
You need to be grinding.
Yeah. Where rest feels so foreign, and then obviously you add on social media, etc.
Right. So we came up with this topic called, the hustle culture, and I guess really past trauma or trauma that kind of associates with that.
Yeah.
Good and bad.
Good and bad. Like, I mean, when you think about hustle culture, I think it's important to talk about the fact that as millennials in particular, and even like the generation behind us, where it just feels like, if it's what I talked about last season, like if I'm not doing, or if I don't feel like I'm doing enough, or if I have an idle day, it feels crazy to me. Like rest is a foreign concept. There's a lot more people talking about it now. I think because we're experiencing a little bit of burnout or a little bit of anxiety when it comes to the levels of success, just because we're in a hustle culture.
All right, well, let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it. Yeah, I mean, so when it comes to hustle culture, like we were saying before, is like, I think with a combination between wanting to have accomplished so much by the time you're 30, 35, 25, like it just seems as though when you see people that have won at a high level, even if they're in their late 30s or mid 30s or whatever, it seems as though it happened overnight. There's some people that you see, like, I've seen it happen overnight for some people in real life, and overnight is still 3, 4, 5 years. But in a social media age, I used to see you driving a Camry, and then it turned into a Benz, and now it's a Lambo.
Right.
Like, nigga, what?
And what happened in between?
What happened? How did you get there? So fast. And so I feel like then you take on this self-reflection of, oh, I'm just chilling. And I think a perfect example of this, yesterday we were talking to one of our friends, and he literally was saying that he's like, yo, I'm building a brand, I got a job, I'm working on one of my passions that I've had for years, and it feels like, he was saying that he wanted to go on a date.
Okay.
And he was like, I want to take this girl out, but me going on a date feels like I'm not I don't deserve this. I haven't earned the opportunity for me to be able to relax for a moment to even take a girl out.
Yeah.
And where does that come from?
Yeah, I was about to say, let's explore that, because do you think it has something to do with turning that page from 20 to 30? Because did you feel like in your 20s that if I wasn't moving every single hour of the day, that I'm not going anywhere?
No, I think you develop that over time, and you got to think about it. When we first met, we met at 20.
Yeah,
we were still talking on Snapchat. Like, so the way social media is, there weren't reels. There weren't, like, the best you could really do is a long caption on Facebook, a picture on Instagram, or you tweeting. The first time people were really able to show life outside of a photo was on Snapchat, which is 2013, 2014. When did videos even become a thing? You have Vine, but a lot of people using that to just be funny.
Mm-hmm.
You know
what I'm saying?
That. But Vine was still 15 seconds. And so when you think about what social media has become today, I just think it's easier for you to see somebody's aesthetically pleasing home, or, everything looks clean, and you think their house is clean, but they might got, outside of the frame that they're filming, it looks like, a tornado just hit it. You know what I'm saying? And so you get to see everybody's highlight reels, or get to see them in the car or at the dope hotel, where then it starts to make you evaluate yourself. And I think for me, I was having that because I have been in a state of having to do in my 20s, in the way I was building my business and what it required from me. And once, one, slowing down for my first pregnancy, but now with the toddler and being pregnant again, it's like, I feel like I have too much time on my hands. And with the amount of time, this is the oxymoron that my life is right now.
Okay.
I have enough time on my hands to build something.
Okay.
But at the same time, should I be resting because I'm about to embark on a whole new life, having 2 children, 2 small children at that. Whereas it's like, am I going to be overdoing it, trying to build something, one that might not be able to be maintained by that time, but also not considering that you are growing a whole person. It's like I'm in the middle of both of that. And I think it is the hustle culture. Like when you are idle, it feels like, yo, I'm literally not doing anything.
I hear the oxymoron, what you mean. I feel like, I think it's not even just you. I feel like a lot of women, a lot of wives, or a lot of mothers feel like being a mother I'm not doing enough. I'm not working hard enough. Like I need to have something else going for me, or I need to be doing something else outside of, one, being pregnant like you are, and really you're creating a whole life.
A whole life.
But also being a mother to a toddler boy.
A whole toddler.
And I'm trying to explore, like, why do women feel like I need to be doing something else? Is it this feminism movement? Like what is it? Like no, this boss chick movement?
I just feel like we're in a day and age where it's not just like multiple people within a household can be contributors to the financial gain or the success or whatever of that family. I think, at some period of time it was more of a man thing for men to be working and bring home the butter. If you look at athletes or people like that, it's like, you don't really hear of women athletes being the head of household.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that it doesn't happen, because I know there are plenty of them.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at actors and actresses, or like even go back to like the conversation that everybody's talking about Gabrielle Union talking about her and D-Wade splitting the bills 50-50. That wasn't always a major conversation to say that that's what's happening within a household, that both parties are equally successful, are equally building something, are equally or building together, where we're both contributing to the household, especially when you're talking about from a content creation standpoint. Like you can actually just be a mom, but it's like, why my mom and ain't making me no money, or why is my wife not making me no money? Because that is actually a part of our culture, that is a possibility. But I don't think it's just women. I don't think it's just wives. I don't think it's just mothers. I think it's a cultural thing. It's happening within our generation, just period. Because you can't tell me, I just said a dude said he want to take a girl out on a date, but that feel like he not doing enough work for me to celebrate that.
I feel like our generation, millennials in general, we don't feel stable and safe enough.
Yeah.
Like it's a lot of anxiety going around, like that. Like from what you're explaining to me, mothers and just yourself in general, you're having anxiety around, am I doing enough? Am I going to be bringing enough home? Because inflation, with inflation, it causes to have not this traditional mindset of just, like you said, the man work and the women stay home, and there's only, you're really living off of one income.
Right.
Which now if you have a high income, it can work, but typically, most people don't make what more than 50,000 a year.
I think
just an individual.
I think the average income these days are like 50 to 100 and something.
Right, as a household though.
Yeah, typically as a household.
So typically individually it's like 50,000.
Yeah.
So let's think about that.
50 to 80. Like I think 50,000 is like a thing of the past. That's just me. I don't know. But 50,000. I think you out of touch for real. No, I might be, and I could be. I 1,000% could be.
It might be less. It might be 47.
Jesus.
But I think it's around 47 to 55,000 is an average income for the average American.
Right.
So in today's society,
that's not enough.
If the man was only making that and the woman didn't work, you probably living in the hood, you living somewhere that ain't safe, and if you building a family, you kind of do have to have there's consideration. So there is anxiety there. I can see why more mothers are having anxiety and more fathers are having anxiety around, like, am I doing enough? Am I, you know what I'm saying? Am I working
but that's why
hard
I said
enough?
I don't think it's just women. I just think it's in general, because I mean, you're telling me that you haven't felt the same pressures.
Hell yeah.
We were talking about healthcare today. Healthcare, and looking at the amount that is coming out.
Let's talk about that.
From healthcare, and over $1,200 on a monthly basis. And when you're looking at it, it's like, but I may never need this, but in the event that I do, I need to have it. One, because there's more than just you and I. It's, when it was just me and you, we could thug it out and hope nothing happened.
Literally, we had thugged it out for like what 2-3 years.
What we have been thugging it out since we were married. We just started having health care when I got pregnant. I'm pretty sure.
That was the last 2 years. That's been the last 2 years.
Literally the last 2 years since I got pregnant, and I got pregnant at the end of 2020. So yeah,
you're right, because it was for years I didn't hoop because I was like, look, I can't get hurt. I can afford to get hurt.
And literally, what happens as soon as we get health care? The nigga that dislocates his thumb.
Okay,
that's another reason why we ain't shot. He didn't want to have his arm brace, neck brace, knee brace on the show.
No, that's real. I could now hearing you say that, I can see the anxiety around wanting to work. But what's the issue with not ease, but what's the issue with having a soft life in a sense?
The soft life thing, I think, is curated based off of somebody bringing in an exponential amount of money. I don't really know if the soft life comes unless there's a, in my eyes, soft life can't come unless it's, we hit the marker of what we know we want to have in a savings account, not just in the bank, but saved up. And for you and I, when it comes to finances, we don't necessarily base it off of how much money is in the bank. We base it off of how much we have liquid capital. Mm-hmm. And so for us, we know that from a retirement standpoint of like, for you to be okay. And when you look at your bills and all that kind of stuff like us, for us, we've always said like the standard is anywhere in between $500,000 and $2.5 million in the bank. Say not in your spending capital though, right, like in your reserved capital, so that there are other places that you can put your money so that money can do for you. And so it feels like until you hit that marker, especially when you've been in a place where you've been close, you know what I'm saying? You've been right there to hit the mark and all the kind of stuff like that. It's always kind of like, I gotta not one up myself, but I need to create that stability, that security. I don't think a soft life for me can come before that happens, because there's always something. Like when you think about saving money or anything like that, and it's not even a money episode, I don't even know how we're here, but I do think that hustle culture definitely derives from your financial stability. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like when you look at that, it's like there's always me wondering, or somebody wondering, where's the next check come from? But especially if you're an entrepreneur, it's like in this, entrepreneurship is the hustle culture. There are people that are working 9-to-5s that feel like they should be entrepreneurs because it seems like that's where all the money is. Not realizing that from an entrepreneurship standpoint, you can have a month where you do 80 grand. You can have a month where you do 200, $250,000. You got a month then after that you do 5. Yeah. You can have a month where you do 50, but if you did $250,000 the month before that seems significantly different. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
And you have expenses and everything else.
Quality of life.
Revenue does not mean profit.
And that's the thing. And so I think that it's also the glorified entrepreneurship. But the biggest thing being, for me, being that the type of business that I created required my attention at all times. Like sun up, eyes open to eyes closed, basically.
No, legit.
Eyes open to eyes closed, to the point where we had to set boundaries tells you a lot. If we had to create boundaries within our business because of how much we were doing it, tells you how much we were doing it. And not to mention, think about when you were working still. You know what I'm saying? Like you also were we're on the road to go do a meeting, and we got to get back on a flight to get us home at 6 a.m. or we got to drive back immediately and get home at 2-3 in the morning for you to be at your job at 6 a.m. That don't tell you how much we were going. And so when you feel like, when that's your what is the word?
The regularity of your life.
Yeah, that's the regularity of your life. It feels different when you're just sitting. It doesn't necessarily, and it's not to say that you are a bum. It's not to say that you just chilling. It's not to say that you ain't got nothing going for yourself. That's the feeling though, because I'm so used to going.
Because you're so used to going, the second that you do sometimes have to stop, either life happens, because and I think that's what's funny around turning that page going into 30, because life in a sense does kind of change because you have typically more responsibilities.
And I think just priorities become different. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, when it was just me and you, we could just get up and go. We could literally live life on the edge like that. We, of course our marriage suffered for some of it, but obviously the priority was like, well, if we're gonna have a successful marriage, we got to get some money.
Right.
Because
It was all centered around hustling.
Why? Because by the time we got married, niggas done spent all their money.
Yeah.
We trying to re-up.
No, that makes sense. Because so what do you think? Do you think identity is tangled up in productivity? Because for men,
that's a great question.
Because for men, I think a lot of our identity is tied up into attaining and goal setting and hitting a certain marker. That's why you hear about men saying like, I'm not getting married till I am financially stable and financially ready. So the anxiety around that creates of this. I can't not do something. I got to always be doing something, whether you're doing something that brings you forward or not. There's always going to be this anxiety around. I gotta get this money. I gotta get this money. I gotta get this money. I gotta get stable. If I desire to have a family one day, if I desire to court somebody one day, especially now, like I feel like there's this thing between men and women where everybody's like measuring each other, so to speak. And man, I feel sorry for people that's really dating these days, because it's like you really just don't know. Like,
you don't know why they're here.
You don't know why they're here.
It's hard to be with somebody. I've heard guys say, like, guys that are successful, women that are successful too, that it's hard to date somebody that doesn't have the same level of ambition as you, because of that feeling of like, you ain't got nothing to do.
Right.
Or you're wondering, or you don't spend enough time with me, or we don't do this, or we don't do that. You always grind, you always work, and it's like, yeah, but I was doing that. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is what I do. This is how I make a living. This is how our lives are going to change if you want a future with me. And so I think it's just it's a different version of the rat race.
In what way? What do you mean?
It's like the modern version of the rat race is always feeling like you have to go.
Like I have to be moving.
I have to
continue in this pace. And back to the identity thing, do you think hustling is wrapped up in the millennials, really, is it wrapped up in our identity because we do not feel safe?
I mean, I could agree with that statement. I can agree with identity being wrapped up. For me personally, I have, like I said, since I turned 30 or coming into 30, I have had to ask myself very, very hard questions. And I just saw a reel today that said that Tony Robbins says, if you want to elevate your life, you have to start to ask yourself difficult questions, and not just difficult questions, but questions that are actually going to challenge your way of life, challenge your thinking, and challenge your being. And the biggest question for me has been, why on everything? And all of the questions of why this, or why you're doing this, and what's the motive behind all of that, all circle back to becoming who, like the question being now, who am I? For me, I think a lot of the questions that I have been asking myself have come back to, now, who are you if you strip every title away? You know what I'm saying? And that's where I now realize that my identity at the time was wrapped up into the what I was doing. Because if you stop doing a certain thing and then you start to not know who you are anymore without that thing, that means that your identity was wrapped up in the what you were doing and not who you actually are. And now I'm more focused on bringing who I am to everything that I do, and allowing me to, I'm Brittany, regardless. I'm always going to be Brittany. Everything that I do is going to have Brittany on it. But these are some of the things that I now contribute to, but they won't now define my being just because I do them, just because I'm successful at them, just because I'm not successful at them. I'm not a failure if it doesn't work. I'm not, I'm definitely dope if it does, but I'm not necessarily defined by it if it does.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happens. It's like, once you do start winning, it's hard to even break away from the thing that you're winning with, because you have lost yourself in a thing. And honestly, that is how you become successful, though. You can't really become successful without becoming delusional.
You have to be extremely delusional.
You have to be
extremely, like, it's a trait that I see every single person that's successful or has done something at a high level. They've been extremely delusional and in their own ability, because it's not necessarily just their talent alone.
Right.
It's their belief in themselves that make them go out there and perform at a high level.
For sure.
And also, it's about one, the goals that they're set. They're literally focused on whatever goal that they have in place, and there's nothing else matters.
But that's also
that
a sense
tenacity.
of it also becomes a piece of programming, and that level of programming can ring into you so long that like I'm talking about, like I literally am in a period of detoxing from the toxicity of creating success at the same time, because a lot of people don't talk about the stronghold on the mind when you are so set on go. It's like it's just the next thing, the next thing, the next thing, the next thing, and you're so focused on next that you're never satisfied with anything, because you are. Gabrielle Union said this too on the clip that's circling around when she was talking about her and D Wade splitting the bills 50-50. She says, she said, what did she say? Oh God, what did she say? She said that I still to this day, Gabrielle Union, you talking about somebody who has been on multiple movies, multi-millionaire, and she still fears that if a movie gets canceled, she don't get paid. If she don't get paid, I can't even pay my half of the bills. That's how that even came about.
Right.
Everybody's talking about the 50-50, but people are missing that even somebody who has achieved that level of success still has the same fear that we're talking about, which means you're still wrapped up in that hustle culture of feeling like if something were to happen to my movie, something were to happen where a COVID happens, and I can't, we can't even get in the studio, we can't even finish production, blah, 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 blah. Or the tragedy and all the stuff that was going on with Jamie Foxx. He was in the middle of production. You know what I'm saying? He was in the middle of doing something. What has now happened because he had something that was real life, having to take care of your health, so you can be around, messes up with your money.
Let's talk about neglection when it comes to being focused on your craft and focused on your work so much that you neglect your health, because I feel like we experienced that in a way.
We got fat.
I'm trying to tell you.
We got fat. Thank God for pregnancy, because at least I have an excuse.
I'm crying.
For weight gain.
I don't know how many years it was, but we were, on the road for, I would say 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Every month. On the road, and we're talking about like getting home late, so your sleeping patterns off. You're also eating out a lot, and without working out. You know what I'm saying?
And then don't make no money. You start eating good,
and then you start making some money. You start eating steaks and all these other stuff that
every meal costs $400-$500.
But then there was that one day you told me like, nigga, you need to get to the gym, and I said
I can't do middies.
Bet. I said, bet. I'm getting in the gym.
Now, don't get me wrong though, because if I put a picture on here of Malcolm when we met, I won't do the picture of like our first photo, but like when we met though, Malcolm was really, I could wrap my arms around him damn near twice. Because he was so small. So I love the body.
The weight gain, yeah.
I love the weight gain because you look like a man. You know what I'm saying? Like I've been with you since you were bones.
No, that's real.
Shall these dry bones live? But I've been with him since he was like really, really, really small. And so like I love the way that your body looks, but it was getting away from us to where it was going to be too hard for you to like this body. Obviously, this is why I'm pregnant. I told that nigga, I said if you take this weight and you chiseled it up,
use it for good.
Use this body for good. You get your fat pack, you get the, no more middies, the arms is all right, all that stuff. I knew I was going to get pregnant. I knew it. But first of all, we never talked about this when we talked about my pregnancy story, about how Mark was about to tell me that same thing. Like, it's getting out of hand.
Yeah, I definitely was ready to tell her, like, look, babe, I don't know. I had contemplated for weeks, like, how I'm about to say this, because knowing me, I was going to say the wrong thing. I was going to say exactly what came to my mind, which was not going to be sensitive enough. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't going to be the right thing to say. So I was contemplating, like, how do you bring this up in, conversation? Is it over dinner? Is it what? I don't know.
Is it over dinner? It's hilarious. More food.
But like I said, let's talk about the neglection period, because
don't skip over what you did though.
What I do?
He was about to try to tell me about myself. Meanwhile, I was pregnant.
Oh yeah, you was pregnant.
Trying to tell me that I was getting bigger. Also, we're going to get back to your point because I do want to stay on topic, but I just want to make sure that I acknowledge this. It was me who was telling you that my clothes weren't fitting, and knowing my body, I have never in my life gained weight at that rapid pace.
Yeah.
To where my clothes don't fit, like it was throwing me off. I'm like, bro, something is wrong with me. I could just fit these pants 2.5 weeks ago, and now they don't fit.
Now they don't fit at all.
Even button them. Like, and I'm like, yo, this is crazy. I don't know what is happening. Whole time I was pregnant, and he was about. Well, could you imagine if he would have said that? But I must say, I feel like I probably would have been salty, but I would have been appreciative because I would hate for it to get beyond control. And then, niggas is, you are silently unsatisfied.
I see.
What's worse?
I don't know. That's why I was like, I just gotta say something. You know what I'm saying?
If you ever feel that way, I'm gonna tell you what to do.
What?
You find some couple that's in the gym, be like, we should get in the gym together. I feel like because I feel like you always want to work on your body. It's never not a time. It's never, it's not like I never said it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not like I've never worked toward it. Literally before I got pregnant, I was working with a trainer. So obviously it's something that I want to do. I always have wanted to do. I've always been in the trainer. I've always been in the gym. So this is not something, but it's like, how do you say it? I think that was your way.
Either way, that's hard. That's hard as a husband.
But after this baby, it's full speed ahead. I've already given you the green light. But you
to be major pain.
No. You have to find a way with your words that's not nasty. It has to be. But anyway.
No, it's about accountability at that point. No, we got to be on your ass.
Got it.
You did not spare me any words. But being back on topic. The thing about Jamie Foxx, I think like that's important because think about his work-life balance. I don't think there is a balance because if you're doing something at a high level, I don't really think people are taking care of their bodies. We've seen it. I've seen it firsthand. Like you're making all this money, but your gut is growing faster and faster. You know what I'm saying? Like you're not taking your health seriously, and there has to be some kind of balance. But I'm not sure why go down that rabbit hole so far that you do neglect everything else.
I just think that the focus on hustle puts you in a place where I think the reason why people are talking about soft life, right? I think the reason why there's such more conversation around rest. There's a lot more conversation about just living, because I think post-COVID, I think really COVID, right before COVID was really where that hustle culture got ramped up, or at least that's when I got sucked into it to be able to see it. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't feel like I feel like if you're not in it, you don't really know. But I feel like that was the moment where I really got sucked into it back around 2019. But once you get past COVID and now you're trying to move past COVID, so 21, 22, I think that's where it ramped up because things start to really fluctuate. Things started to change for a lot of people, especially in the entrepreneurship space. And I think that's why people are now talking about rest. They're talking about soft life. They're talking about, it's okay to relax. It's okay to actually do things that you want to do. I think it's literally because we also experience to some degree a level of burnout. You know what I'm saying? Like, running ourselves into the ground, and I'm tired. That's why you hear a lot of people that are doing e-com or they're trying to find the automated way to do something. I'm doing a webinar so that I can lead you to all the things that I want to sell you. Is why? Is because it's a less stressful way for me to do the same thing. But now everybody's talking about I got to work it smarter than harder because we have experienced some level of burnout. Think about it. We were having days we doing calls 3, 4, 5 times a day. And then any other time I'm not on that call, I'm on the phone with somebody. If I'm not on the phone with somebody, I'm texting somebody. It was like I said, the new rat race. And then I feel like that new rat race led to a lot of people having a burnout period to where it's like I still have but it's like you get into that oxymoron of, but I still have all these desires. I still have all these goals. I still want to accomplish this thing. And it's not done yet. What did Kobe say? Like, it's not finished.
Yeah. It's because it's a moving target.
It is.
Anything that you do. So that's why you do have to kind of find the balance because you'll hit one goal and then there's another goal after that.
Yeah.
And you're going to want to continuously go. Here and there. So you're going to want to continuously, push the envelope. And that's where I think balance has to come in. So what do you think about like relationships as opposed, you know what I'm saying? Like if you're so focused on your work and things like that, do you think or have you seen relationships suffer? And not even just marital relationships. I'm talking about friendships, you know, relationships with parents, stuff like that. You know
Absolutely. what I'm saying? I think the last time I said something like this, social media tried me. But
oh, what do you mean? What clip was this?
Remember when I said not to grow without your partner? Because it creates it can create a sense of like feeling like I don't know that person anymore. So to answer your question, like I've experienced that in friendships. I've experienced it with my siblings. I've experienced that with our parents, because they're like, you know, when you're in pursuit of something has to give. Every time. There's no way that you can pursue something and somebody not suffer for that.
Yeah.
For us, and in our lane of business, which was network marketing, it was called a season of separation. I do believe that it's needed. You know what I'm saying? You can't be all things to all people and try to pursue your goals. Even right now, like our pastor said something about, he was talking to men and saying that when you are in pursuit of something suffers.
Yeah.
The thing is, nobody wants to talk about that.
That joint hit me hard, babe. Like when he said that, I'm like, yo, he's right, because typically when men are in mastery, that's when there's neglection. And he was talking specifically for married men. When you're in your mastery, when you're trying to master a skill set, or you're just trying to better yourself, to not allow it to not allow neglect to creep into your marriage, because you try to figure out why she would act out of character or do something that you wouldn't think she would do. And now you have to understand this is why. Mm-hmm. Because love ain't just enough. You know what I'm saying? Love ain't just enough for her to not act out of character, but it's about what were you doing to contribute to her probably even moving on, or her stepping outside of me. You know, it was so many things he talked about.
That's literally what I said. And
I said, my God.
When I said it, people acted like that is the craziest thing. Somebody posted it today and called me a B.
I think it was too, really? Yes. Damn.
But you shared it to your story. So I definitely was like, I messaged her back. I messaged her and was like, y'all be ruthless on this app. But thanks for sharing. And she was like, I call all my friends that. I said, oh, so we friends?
What the hell?
She's like, I just can't get with what you said. I said, and that's okay. But B is a little outrageous. Like, you need to relax.
Yeah, a little disrespect.
Yeah, like what? But you reposted it, so obviously you did all that just to tell everybody about it. But anyway, but that's the thing. It's like I remember talking to my best friend, and you know, she was like, we had a conversation. I want to say at the end of 2020, going into 21, and we had to have a conversation where she literally was like, I feel like I don't know you anymore. And I was like, you don't.
Well, what made her say that?
Well,
had y'all not spoken, or?
This was when she had moved back to Miami for like during the COVID period or whatever. So we hadn't seen each other, and we were, you know, this is somebody that I'm with like every other day. You know what I'm saying? Talking to every day. But that distance was kind of tough on our relationship. And you know, we had a heart to heart where she was just like, I just feel like I don't know you anymore, because at that point, not only I'm married.
Yeah.
I was pregnant at the time.
Life is changing.
You know, my whole life was different. I you know, now financially we're in two totally different places. You know what I'm saying? Everything has now changed in that small window of time that we hadn't been together.
Yeah.
So yes, I do think they suffer, but I think it's all communication. You know what I'm saying? And my whole point in that clip that went viral was me saying, like, when you start to pursue something, if the person that is a part of your life, whether it's a friend, your parents, your significant other, your spouse, there can see, like, it becomes and it shouldn't be that way. And you can't fault the other person for feeling like you guys are now different. It's because I'm in another place. I'm learning different things. I'm changing my thinking and all that stuff like that. And if you are not, it's not to say that you're a bad person. It's not to say that you're stagnant. It just creates a sense of distance where you feel like I no longer know this person. And what I did, because I loved her, I mean, I didn't love you. But because I love her, I brought her into the world, because now it's like, well, let me show you what it looks like. Let me show you where I'm going. Let me invite you, like, whether you like, and she didn't always want to be there, but sometimes it was like, yo, can you come help me with my event? I need some administrative assistance. I need some room control, like what, because I'm having to host an event.
What I'm hearing you say is how to create the balance in between it.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like bringing your people along with you into your world.
Like if you're creating a new world, bring them into the world. That's the distance becomes when you're in the world, and now we've been on the same planet, but now you on a whole new planet, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But it's like, I'm not going to act ostracized. You get the
ostracized.
Well, these words are ruining me today. I'm not gonna act like you're just like this. You're slothful, or you have no ambition. Like, that's not the truth.
Yeah, that's not true at all.
We just desire different things. You know what I'm saying? Parents, same thing. Our parents for a long time were like, y'all don't come home, and y'all only come home when it's for business. Like, you right. So because you want to see me more, I need to find a way to develop a business line where I'm from.
Yeah.
And when we did that, they saw us so much more.
They saw us way more, because
Why?
you're right. We had that season of separation. I think any entrepreneur that's trying to do something at a high level does have to have that part of it, that season of separation, but not to the point where it sours relationships. Because I think sometimes we can get to the point where it might be like an ego thing, like they're not on the path I'm on, so they're against me. It's like that against mentality. It's like, no, they're not really against you, and it's not that they don't support you, but you haven't, like you said, you haven't let them into the world. You haven't let them into what you're doing.
The truth is, they may just not understand,
and he may not understand it.
Like where we were from that financial space, like in talk, like y'all, we're definitely going to talk about Forex this season.
We are.
Prelude to, it's coming. What happened to Forex? But anyway, but when you think about it, like the capacity for people to actually understand or want to learn or want to even get the premise of what that wasn't everybody, and so people could feel like, oh, well, now you're in the financial world. This literally happened. You were there when me and my sister got into it. And you find out in hard times how people really feel, or been feeling, or conversations that might have been had outside of you. So when you say, like, do you think it's a strain on relationships? I remember now, because I'm in a financial space and I'm learning about money, I'm doing different things with money, and I want to help my younger siblings know what I didn't know when I was their age, so that they can be better off than I was at their age. But it wasn't received like that at that time. And I remember saying something. I asked one of them to get me something for Wendy's or something. They was like, basically hit me with the mom, you got Wendy's money? Like, bro, you can't give me a $5 Wendy's meal.
Right.
And it was like, I ain't got no bread for that. And I'm like, where's your money at? All I said was something like simple to me. Where's your money at? You got a job, you blah, blah, blah. And the response, hey, don't hit me with none of that money finance. I'm like,
ooh, Jesus. Oh, Lord.
Excuse me? I'm sorry. What is that?
Mumbo jumbo. Yeah.
Don't hit me with that buying that money mumbo. Oh, you think you... Okay. All I said was, you can't get... All of this was over Wendy's.
Yeah.
But because, that
was triggering, obviously.
It was triggering. There's no conversation. I'm not bringing you into that space and all that kind of stuff like that. Or you tried it and you weren't unsuccessful, et cetera. And so it's like, I think a lot of times it can be, but communication, understanding is necessary. We always want to put people in our world.
Yeah, you're right. We do. I think let's go to this part of the show where we talk about the comment section.
Okay, talk to me.
Because I think just on this topic alone, there's some good questions out there that I think we can talk about, but then also the listeners can learn from.
Talk to me.
So, first question is, how do gender roles and expectations intersect with hustle culture, particularly for millennial women? I know we kind of touched on this, but do you think gender roles play, a part in, or they kind of intersect with the relationship and the expectations that's put on men and women when it comes to, being a hustler?
I don't feel like I get it.
Like the question?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll say it again. How do gender roles and expectations in gender roles intersect with hustle culture, particularly for millennial women?
I just think we want our bag too.
Okay.
You know, I feel like, of course, you got all the women is independent. You know, what
This
I'm saying?
independent movement.
You got you got the independent woman, but it's not that I want to be independent of a man. It's that I want to also be a contributing part of the party. You know what I'm saying?
Teach us, because I think men struggle with this, with understanding this independent woman thing, and I think what happens is they collide, and men feel attacked, and women don't feel heard or understood, and then it's this whole red pill, blue pill mess that's going. You know what I'm saying? Like, walk me through the idea of, like you were saying, an independent woman. What does that mean to be an independent woman?
My personal definition is not all women. Some women mean like, I don't need nobody. I got my own. And for me, I remember wanting to have my own for the sense of, I don't want you to think that I'm with you because of what you have. I don't want you to think that I'm with you. I remember when we was in college, you told me about an investment your family had and the potential of it. And my response wasn't, no, my first response, I never told you this, was like, oh, if I stay with this nigga, I might be rich.
That is funny as jacks.
But here's the thing, because that was my thought, my response was, how do I get some for myself? Because I didn't want you to think, like, because you've now shared this family intel with me, that I'm going to stick around whether you a good dude or a bad dude, whether our relationship is good or whether this thing is really trash, but I'm gonna hold on because of what you could become. You know what I'm saying? And so for me, it's always been about having my own, to be able to be a contributing factor. I think two heads are better than one. I think two incomes are better than one. I think two hustles are better. Well, let me not say two incomes, but two heads could be working on one income. You can have one brand, one umbrella of something, but you add two separate entities to that same thing. And so I think for me, being an independent woman is just being a contributor to my home.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't think there should be, it's not to say, because there's always going to be a moment. We've had so many different moments within our marriage. But I remember being in a place where I had to rely on you for everything. Hated it.
Yeah, I remember you telling me you hated that.
Because I was broke. I needed some money. You were like, why didn't you just ask me? I'm like, ew, why would I ask you? Why would I ask you for money? You know what I'm saying? Like,
I never understood.
And it could be
that.
pride. It could be ego. At the time, it's just like, we weren't married also. So I think that could contribute to that whole independent woman movement of women feeling like, well, if I'm not tied to you for real, you don't owe me nothing. And I don't want to owe nobody nothing if you don't owe me nothing.
Here's my thought. I think the independent woman persona and just verbiage in itself stems from a traumatic space, but also
how so?
Because for so many years, for hundreds of years, women have been oppressed in America.
That is true.
And especially black women. They've had to fight for their own rights in so many things. So there wasn't really many expectations upon women. And now that women are becoming more educated and more skilled, and more thoughtful, and they're speaking up. You know what I'm saying? They've always had this. It's just laid dormant. And now that they're more voiceful, and they're pushing their voices forward, they're now, it seems like they're pushing back on what has been oppressing them for so many years. So because you don't ever hear an independent man. You don't ever hear this movement of independent man, because
we talked about this the other day. You're never going to hear about an independent man because society puts you in a position where that's already your job.
Right.
So I get what you're talking about, women being oppressed and feeling like, I have to tell you that that's who I am. I have to be independent of you. For me, it's like, I want to be with you because I want to be with you. I don't want to be with you because I need to be with you. I mean, yeah, I think that's what I mean. I want to be with you. I now need to be with you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, we are one. You know, you are my person, my soulmate, all the stuff like that. So I need to be with you. But at the beginning, it's like, I want to be with you because of you, not because you got all this money, not because you got this big investment portfolio, not because you got the trust fund that could change my, like, not, I didn't want it to be based off of that. And the only way for me to feel that way was to know that I was okay with or without you.
Right.
And I think for a lot of women that sometimes is it, but it's like, I just feel like we want to make sure that we're also not being controlled by what somebody else is doing when it comes to men providing, because that is your God-given nature to provide. But for sometimes it could be utilized as a stronghold on the woman, because without
that's
me,
what I mean. It's
me,
oppression.
But without it, but so you can understand why a woman would say, I'm good. You know, now I'm not all the independent. I got to change my own tires and change my own oil. No,
I can understand where they get the verbiage. I think where things get, miscommunicated and missed in translation is in how they present it. Meaning, when you say I'm an independent, well, not you, but in general, we've seen this in millennials and in generation regardless. When they say I'm an independent woman, it also after that comes, and I don't need a man. And if you're trying to attract a male companion, which I'm pretty sure majority of women are that are going that way. let's be politically correct.
Why are you laughing?
Because I can go on a tangent.
Jesus Christ.
But no, I'm saying, like, if you're looking for male companionship and you are a woman doing well for yourself, and you say I'm an independent woman and I don't need a man, you are literally repelling the very thing that you probably desire.
Right. Now,
because men need to be needed.
But that's a different conversation, though. It's different if you're saying I'm an independent woman, I don't need a man. But what do you do if you're now a woman, you're in your late 20s, early 30s, mid 30s, late 30s, but you're on your own? So it's not that I don't need a man, but if I'm already I have to take care of myself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I feel like sometimes that it can be misconstrued of me trying to be this superwoman and I don't need nobody, where it's like, no, if you're not here and if no one is ever here, I do still have to live, though.
Yeah.
So it's not me just being independent to be independent. It's me to be independent. And your independence might be starting from I'm leaving my parents' house. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think the conversation could have been misconstrued over time and over different interpretations, over different perspectives. But my independence started with leaving my parents' house. Which was why I didn't want to just be reliant on a man, because I just came from being reliant on my parents. You know what I'm saying? And so independence for women, if I'm just moving out on my own, that's where it begins. That's where I become an independent woman.
You become a woman.
That is me taking care of myself, right? That is me taking care of myself. That is me making sure that my bills are paid, making sure that I have a steady job or steady income that's coming in order for me to provide for myself with or without a man. And so I feel like when it comes across that way, people aren't looking at the conversation of me saying, if there is no man here, what would I do? I talk to my friends all the time that, when we're having conversations, it's like, oh, I want to help my husband or whatever. And I'm like, yo, you got to think about it. Like, if Buddy wasn't here and he wasn't doing all that he does and he wasn't taking care of everything, what would you do? You would get your ass up and you would do something. Right. So we can't act as if women would just sit on our butts. Like, nah, that whole conversation is in regards to me being able to take care of myself with or without another individual.
So I guess the question going back to the comment section, the question I think is trying to dissect, does the whole hustle culture and the hustle mentality contribute to or not contribute to gender roles, I guess, in a household and in a relationship? And based on what you're saying, is it kind of doesn't.
I don't think the hustle culture contributes to it.
Like, I need to be doing something, so.
But I think the whole thing around hustle culture is feeling like there's no time to stop. Like the person that feels like if I binge watch something on Netflix, I have turned my brain into mush and I'm no longer on path or on track to be successful.
I think that's because TikTok, they telling you, it's a whole bunch of gurus out here telling
you wake up, don't drink no water.
Everybody.
What Pap say? You wake up at 4 a.m. every day, don't even drink no water.
Yeah, it's about social media and all this stuff out there thinking like, okay, if you ain't acting like a robot, you're a nobody. You know what I'm saying? You're not doing anything with your life if you're not up at 6 a.m., if you're not drinking water all day long, and if you haven't worked out 10 times. You know what I'm saying? Like it's that stuff. I think that's contributing to the anxiety of so many people. One in our generation, but people in general, they're feeling this anxiousness and it's not enough. I'm not doing enough. I'm not doing this, that, and the third. The inadequacy, like you said last season. And I think we gotta get back to balance.
No, I think we have to get back to living.
Yes, you're right.
Because
the
hustle culture puts you in a place where I can never stop. I can't smell the roses. I can't be satisfied. I can't take a moment to be content. I can't. What am I celebrating? And I know this because I used to tell people that. Yeah. Like when people used to invite us out to the club, I'm like, what the hell are we celebrating?
Yo, we haven't done literally.
Y'all, when we talk about
I still feel like that sometimes, yo.
I still feel like that.
I struggle with that now.
You told me that. You said,
I struggle with that right now.
You said, or you could say what you said. I don't have to.
I'm trying to remember what
when
I
you
said.
Were saying like, babe, like I don't want to kick it.
Oh yeah. So that's exactly what I said. So I expressed this last season to Maurice when he was on the episode with him sharing his story about entrepreneurship and stuff like that. And I was telling him like there comes a time in a man's life where he needs isolation, but he also he needs a time where he focuses and he doesn't focus on pleasures. Mm-hmm. And I was telling you like I'm in this space right now where I feel like I don't need to be having fun. Not that I don't deserve fun. It's that it shouldn't be my priority. It shouldn't be my priority because I'm not where I want to be, but I do have a plan and I have goals that I want to have set out and accomplish. And until I feel like I'm hitting the markers, I feel like I don't need to prioritize having fun and doing things that's going to tilter my mindset and my focus. And I think that's what I was saying. I'm saying that it comes a time in a life, man, where his back is against the wall and he has to make a decision.
But I think the difference with what you're saying today and us in 2020 is the word deserve. It's not that I don't deserve it.
Yeah.
What we were believing was that I don't deserve it.
I don't deserve it. Exactly.
After all of this.
Exactly.
I don't deserve it. And I will say for me, that could be some sense of trauma. I'll say because one thing that I can pinpoint it to is like when I graduated from college, it was never celebrated. Like first to graduate in my family, not my family, both my parents have degrees. My mom has a master's. So I wasn't like the first to graduate, but like the first of my parents' children to graduate from college. Actually the only to this day.
Was it the only?
Still the only to have graduated, have 2 degrees, but my bachelor's, it was never celebrated due to religious
beliefs.
Beliefs on when. But it's not even about the day the graduation occurred, right? It's like after that nothing happened. And I think for a long time, which I actually am having this revelation
in real
time, is that I think because that was never celebrated, I have pushed to accomplish so much since then to finally get that you're incredible or I'm proud of you or that was dope. You know what I'm saying? Like congratulations and all this stuff like that. And I felt like I've been pushing the marker for so long based off of one thing never being celebrated. But it wasn't that it wasn't celebrated. It was that all the others were.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Is that a life lesson?
No.
Okay. So
that's a life realization.
So based on this conversation, what do you think? What could you take from this conversation? Like, what's your life lesson in this?
My life lesson is that it's okay to smell the roses. It's okay to take time to reset, recalibrate, retreat, and rest. Because I do think this next version of myself requires this season that I don't understand.
Mhm.
And it's okay to not understand why it's happening. It's okay to feel confused, to say.
Mhm.
It's okay to not know exactly all the pieces. I am such a control freak that this whole last probably like 12 to 18 months have felt like a literal kerfuddle, because
Go photo.
I
That's
just
the first time I've
don't.
heard that.
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. I don't understand it. I'm still seeking direction. I'm still looking on how to get through said things. But then the oxymoron again is still having some sense of peace in maybe you're just supposed to rest. And it's all just because Pastor said this. He said, just because you don't see God doing something or what you want to see him doing,
Right.
don't mean that he's not
That
doing
he's not
something.
doing something. Yeah.
It's just not what you're looking for, probably, or it's not in the timing that you want to see it. But it doesn't. He's still working when he's not working.
Yeah.
And so that's my thing. Maybe, just sit. And sometimes it's okay to rest. And I have not found it. I'm finding a lot of peace in trusting that this might just be my season to rest.
I like that. I think my life lesson is that hustle culture isn't, having a hustle isn't wrong. It's the unhealthiness around, this is all I should be doing, and feeling like nothing else matters. That's where toxicity comes into place, where we need balance.
Yeah.
And for so long, and for any entrepreneur out there, that you're so indulged into your work that so many other things in your life could be suffering, and you want to take self-inventory. And for us, we didn't take self-inventory until years later. You know what I'm saying? When things slowed down, we took self-inventory. But if you're going through it, it's important to take the self-inventory and take the self-assessment and figure out, like, yo, am I hustling because I'm in fear? Am I hustling because I have anxiety? Am I hustling because I feel unstable? Or am I actually passionate about what I'm doing? And I think we don't really talk about that enough. We don't really dissect that enough. And then also just finding the true balance in knowing that you have friends for a reason. Yeah, you can isolate yourself, but you have friends there for a reason, because you are going to need the mental check-ins. You know what I'm saying? Mental health is real.
Yes. It is also Mental Health Awareness Month.
Really?
Yeah.
Never knew that. So it is important to be better in that area, and to work just as hard in that area as you do in whatever you are trying to pursue.
I love that.
Well, so this has been another episode
of the So Let's Talk About It podcast. I am your co-host, Brittany.
And I'm Malcolm.
And you can follow me at Brittany Donnell.
And you can follow me at Malcolm_2_Garrison.
And don't forget to follow the show at So Let's Talk About It Pod on all platforms. If you're on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. Wherever you're listening from, like, share, subscribe, tell a friend. If this resonated with you and you've gotten some takeaways from it. I think on Spotify now, there are questions where you can kind of like share your thoughts in regards to this episode and what you took away from it or what you liked about it, because we want to continue to hear from you guys and engage with you. So make sure you guys do that. Let us know what you thought about this episode. And then if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, don't forget to rate.
Please write a review.
Write a review so we can help more people and continue to get our message out and continue to really, really grow this show. We'll see you guys on the next episode.
Peace.